like to welcome each and every one of you to this evening's meeting where we'll address the items for consideration. This is the 11th meeting of the Board of Directors for 2024, and we'll begin with a invocation by Brother Ronnie Inman of Grand Avenue Baptist Church, and I'll follow up with the Pledge of Allegiance. All rise.
Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight just thanking you for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for a beautiful day today. Thank you for the work that will be done. Father, we just pray that you would just bring wisdom and guidance to the hearts and minds of those that serve our city. Thank you for those that serve our city in the many various ways. Thank you for our first responders and those that serve in emergency services. Thank you for those that work behind the scenes. Thank you for those workers that are out there in the heat every day this summer. Father, we just pray that you would just be with us, give us wisdom as we make decisions tonight. Go before us in all of our plans. Father, we pray for each one that's here tonight, each one's family. We just lift them up to you and pray your blessings upon them. Father, we just pray that we would be useful in this city and that you would make us as Christian people evident to those around us. May we serve you with all of our hearts for your glory and for your praise. Thank you, Lord, for dying on the cross for our sins. Thank you for being our Savior. In the holy and precious name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now call this meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Director Aaron Holliday. Here. Director Phyllis Beard.
Present.
Director Marcia Dobbs-Smith.
Here.
Director Dudley Webb.
Here.
Director Karen Garcia.
Here.
Director Steve Trusty.
Here.
Mayor Pat McCabe.
Here. At this time, we'll consider approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda or items to be moved from consent agenda to new business? Director Webb.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I make a motion to move R-24-123 to new business.
Okay. Item 10. Okay. We're fine with that. We'll go ahead and that'll be the first item under new business.
Mayor, we also have a resolution that was not included in your agenda for consideration last Tuesday. It has to do with out-of-state travel for board members to the National League of Cities City Summit. That will be, for identification purposes, referred to as Resolution R-24-125.
Okay. So they'll be the, I guess, item 12A, for lack of a better, we're going to put it after 124.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So we have removed one item from consent agenda to the first item of new business, and we're walking on an item R-24-125. Need a motion to
So moved.
as amended.
Second.
Director Webb and Director Garcia, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Agenda is approved as amended. Now we'll consider approval of the minutes of the regularly scheduled meeting of June 4th, 2024. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Director Trustee, seconded by Director Garcia. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Recognition of guests. Do we have some special guests? Director Trustee.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have some special guests tonight. I have a proclamation that I'd like to read in honor of Dr. John Hogan. He has some trustees at the college and some family members, and some of his associates from the President's Cabinet, and I'll let him introduce those in just a minute if he would like to do so.
Dr. Hogan, will you come forward, please?
This is a celebration of Dr. John Hogan. Whereas Dr. John Hogan became the 4th president of National Park College effective July 1, 2014, and whereas Dr. Hogan has worked for more than 36 years in higher education, he came to NPC from Columbus, Indiana, where he served as chancellor of the Columbus region in the Ivy Tech Community College system for more than 11 years. And whereas his career with Ivy Tech spanned more than 25 years in total, during which, prior to becoming chancellor, he served in the roles of executive dean, director of enrollment and student services, interim dean of instructional affairs, student services, faculties or facilities manager, enrollment services manager, and as registrar. And whereas Dr. Hogan's educational background includes earning a BS in Healthcare Administration and a master's degree in College Student Personnel Administration, both from Western Kentucky University, and a PhD in Higher Education Administration from Indiana State University. And whereas Dr. Hogan's decade-long tenure at NPC began with a name change for the college and a rebranding effort heavily focused on listening to the voices of the NPC students, which brought about a much more robust student life atmosphere, competitive men's and women's athletic teams, including an NJCAA Division II National Championship in men's basketball in 2024, and a new mascot in Knox the Nighthawk. And whereas during Dr. Hogan's time at NPC, there has been the construction of the Student Commons Building, the Marine Repair Building, residential Dogwood Hall with a second residential hall under construction, the modernization and expansion of science labs, the Oakline Foundation Gymnasium, and numerous other buildings, and the establishment of an on-campus food service. And whereas Dr. Hogan's leadership and vision has resulted in the addition of 6 bachelor degrees being offered on the National Park College campus in partnership with the University of Arkansas at Monticello and with Southern Arkansas University. And whereas Dr. Hogan has been active in the community and in religious organizations, including National Park Rotary, Lake Valley Church, the Greater Hot Springs Chamber of Commerce, where he was named Man of the Year for 2018, and in the Hot Springs Metro Partnership. And now, therefore, in recognition of Dr. Hogan's valuable contribution to our Hot Springs and Garland County communities, and as an acknowledgement of the positive difference his efforts have made in the lives of tens of thousands of students during his career, Pat McCabe, Mayor of the City of Hot Springs, on behalf of the entire Board of Directors, do hereby extend our thanks to Dr. Hogan for his dedication to improving the quality of life for our residents through education. We extend our congratulations on your storied career accomplishments, and we extend our well wishes for a long and healthy retirement with your wife Darrell, their 3 sons Nick, Adam, and Josh, and the 3 granddaughters Lily, Iris, and Ivy. In witness whereof, Mayor McCabe has set unto his hand and caused the seal of the city to be affixed on this 18th day of June in the year of our Lord, 2024. And I also have a key to the city that I'd like to present to Dr. Hogan. National Park College, July 1, 2014 through June 30th, 2024. This date of June 18, 2024, by the City of Hot Springs Mayor and the Board of Directors. And I told someone today, while this is a key to the city, I don't think it fits one building inside the city limits. So, but Dr. Hogan, thank you.
Thank you.
I was getting tired of hearing all of that. I guess I've been around a long time, and we had a lot of stuff to do. But before I get started, I'd like to introduce some of the folks who came along with me. Of course, my wife, Dorel, We will be married 39 years this August, so she really did all that stuff. I just took the credit. And to her right is our middle son, Adam. Adam is a doctoral student at Texas Tech, so he's with us for a little bit this summer. And you might know the young man back there, former Mayor Mike Bush. Mr. Bush has been on the Board of Trustees all my time at NPC, and he was chair when I came, so he made me the offer, and so I'll never forget getting the opportunity to work with Mr. Bush. And of course, Forrest Spicer. Forrest was chair for most of my tenure there and went along with our crazy ideas a lot of the time. Bill Ritter is sitting behind Forrest. Bill is the Vice President for Workforce, and Kelly Embry is the Vice President for Finance and Administration. She replaced some other guy that nobody's going to ever remember, except his wife Marilyn, who's also sitting there. So, being president of NPC was the best professional experience of my life, largely because I had the opportunity to work with many of you. This community is the best community I've ever lived in, and getting to work with Mayor McCabe and City Manager Burrow and the whole team. They care about the city. They understood the college's role, how important NPC is, and I got nothing but unconditional support from the city and the city engineer. Gary's here. And I remember meeting with him about the concepts of the student commons. We would not have gotten those things done without your friendship and your support. So I'm very, very grateful. Big things are ahead for Hot Springs because of your leadership. So thank you for taking the time to recognize me. And I really appreciate all that you're doing for our students and for the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may, I'd just like to take a point of personal privilege and thank Dr. Hogan for all he did for me and for my family. It was a pleasure to serve at the college with him for 7 years, and I'm forever grateful to you, John, for your support over that time period. And then just one other thing, I just had to show that Division II National Championship is real, so, all right. Once a Nighthawk, always a Nighthawk. So.
Amen.
Show a big S or something.
Are we on a 7-second delay?
Hit the dump button.
They can cut that out of the live broadcast if they'd like to. So.
All right, any other guests to be recognized? Then we'll move on to the city manager report by Mr. Bill Burrow.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. As you know, and I want those that are watching at home, all city offices except public safety and airport will be closed tomorrow for the observance of Juneteenth. Solid waste residential routes and Earth Angel recycling, including the leaf and mulch collection, will run 1 day behind schedule. So your Wednesday route will be on Thursday, Thursday on Friday, Friday on Saturday. Intercity transit services, buses and paratransit will run their regular schedule, but the transportation depot itself will be closed. The compost facility will also be closed tomorrow. You know, we had a really nice Juneteenth celebration at the farmers market this past Saturday. Diablo Coleman and Willie Wade and several other volunteers just really did a magnificent job down there. They had bands down there this year. It was a really nice event. We just appreciate what they do for our community and being able to bring our community together at those events. I want to talk about Michael Massey, District Court. He's one of our new hires since the last time we met. Also have 2 retirements. Philip Powell in utilities. His last day will be June the 28th after 36 years. And I knew Philip's family. I know his father, and there are multiple generations of the Howe family that work for the city. His son actually is our water production manager, Cody Howe, who's over our Washita Lakeside and our new plant. So glad to see that. It's really been a family affair for the Howe family, and and happy for Philip to be able to reach that mark. And after 36 years, he deserves a great retirement. Charles Nicholson in our fire department, June 27th will be his last day after more than 30 years. So Charles has been a stalwart within our fire department, and just really wish him a happy retirement as well. Sports recreation, our 2024 Fall Youth T-Ball and Softball signups are underway. Registration is open until July the 31st for all youth T-Ball and softball leagues. The games will begin on September the 5th. To register, visit Sports Recreation's webpage at cityhs.net. The Transportation Depot facility received a roof replacement in 2023 due to some leaking areas within the roof. These damaged areas also run some of the plaster on the ceiling, and on June 3rd, the facility underwent some of that plaster work, paint touch-ups, repair to those areas. They'll be back in business and open that first week of July. In addition, some of the exterior wood received a new coat of paint, as some of the metal work, as well as some of the metal work on the canopy. So once they open that back up, it's going to have a pretty new look to it. So we're pleased to get that done. On June 14th, we were able to attend an event at the Armory Building, the Garland County Armory Building. The Hot Springs Veterans of Foreign Wars, VFW, Post 2278, presented national awards to Hot Springs Fire Department Lieutenant Nate Blackstead and driver Tyler Walker. Blackstead received the Firefighter of the Year award for his efforts in the May 8th tornado, and Walker received the Life Saving Award for pulling out a victim from the June 2023 Lake Hamilton plane crash. Nate was able to stay and receive his award, but right as they were about to call the firefighters up, the tone went off. They had a fire to respond to, and you talk about emptying a room pretty quick. I mean, it looked like a full venue there until that tone went off. Then all of a sudden, you've got about 8 people looking at each other, wondering what just happened. But his wife was there to accept it, and just really proud of all of our firefighters, but really want to highlight Lieutenant Blackstead and driver Walker. Future Farmers of America, the high school students, they came in from various schools across the state. They volunteered to pull weeds all along Convention Boulevard and the medians. Our Parks and Trails crew worked out there with them at different times on June the 12th in different areas, but they did a great job. They were able to work off some of their community service hours, so I want to give a shout out to our FFA, our Future Farmers of America. Arkansas Historic Preservation Program, which is something that's very important, especially to our city. On April 27th, the Arkansas Historic Preservation Program provided training in preparing nominations for the National Register of Historic Places. Hot Springs currently has 18 historic districts listed on the National Register, qualifying more than 560 buildings for substantial state and federal financial incentives for restoring them. These credits are being used to restore the Arlington Hotel, the Medical Arts Building, and more. Lauren Atkins from our planning department attended the meeting, as did several board members of Phoebe and the Usuri Project organization. The workshop was presented by Ralph S. Wilcox and Megan Wilms from the Arkansas Historic Preservation Program. So we're proud of that training and glad to be part of that program. Now, the final 2 things I have are probably the most important in what I'll talk about tonight, and that is Coakley Company. Back in March of this year, as you know, we had the 20-inch fail at our Gulf of Pump Station. They began working in March on the 24-inch replacement, and that has been connected. That was originally planned for, I think it was July the 3rd or July the 5th, somewhere in that neighborhood. But they got that connected just a couple of days ago. It is in the testing phase. It'll probably take anywhere from a week to 10 days to have that line tested. But that's a new 7,000-foot, 24-inch pressurized PVC pipe connecting the Gulf of Basin Pump Station to the manhole near Chase Place Road. Next, and they've already began construction on the 30-inch that'll be coming from the new pump station that's currently being built. That'll transition into a 36-inch line that will go from there to the plant. That 36-inch line, we'll be bidding that out probably in the next week or so to see what those costs are going to be. So just really pleased to see that 24-inch get connected, get it tested, and get it in service. Just want to say Coakley Company has really done a great job there. They've had 3 construction crews at different areas of that, so it was happening at the same time versus a linear project, and we appreciate that effort. And then finally, have some hardware here for our mayor. The Adrian White Municipal Leadership Award in honor of former Mayor Adrian White of Pocahontas, who served as league president in 1971, is hereby bestowed upon the Honorable Pat McCabe, Mayor of Hot Springs, for 6 years of dedicated service to the members of the Arkansas Municipal League, presented at the Arkansas Municipal League 90th Annual Convention, June 14th, 2024. So, Mayor, I know you haven't received this yet, so I'd like to present that to you.
Thank you.
And that concludes my report.
Very good. At this time, we'll move to Board of Directors announcements regarding upcoming events. We have Director Dobbs-Smith has an upcoming event.
Yes, Mayor, I'm pleased to announce that the Garland County Library will be having a garden scavenger hunt this Saturday, June 22nd at 8:30 to 12. It's for kids 12 and under, and it says weather permitting, so I guess if it rains, we're not having it. Thank you.
Very good. Director Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor, and congratulations on that award. I wanted to announce that on June 22nd, between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m., the Giving Team monthly food, nutrition, and resource program in Hot Springs that is led by Janice Davis will be offering the mobile soup kitchen, the personal care bags, and resource information regarding assistance with housing, medical, dental, and social service assistance. This will be taking place at the parking lot corner of Church Street and Malvern Avenue. It's 350 Malvern Avenue, Hot Springs, and it's across the street from the former Habitat for Humanity's Restore, next to the 420 Eats food truck court. And there are still many needs in our community. Since school has been out for the summer, the Jackson House is averaging 180 each day for meals. There are very much needs in our community, and the Giving Team on June 22nd, 2024 will be trying to do their best to help those in need as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Very good. Director Webb.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to take this time and just share with everybody the Hall of Heroes or Summit exhibit that's taking place at Mid-America Science Museum, 500 Mid-America Boulevard, and it's happening now until August 17th of 2024. Here at Mid-America Science Museum, they are showcasing the Hall of Heroes exhibit, which features hands-on activities, immersive environments, and iconic movie props like the legendary 1966 Batmobile, all until August 17th of 2024. Exhibit admission is included in the general fees, and for more information, you can go to midamericamuseum.org.
Very nice. Thank you. Any other announcements of upcoming? Director Pollard.
Thanks.
I want to let everyone know that United Way of the Washtenaws is doing a backpack and shoe drive for back to school. They'll be taking backpacks and shoes until July 31st. They want to make sure that kids in need in our community have new backpacks and good shoes to start school. For more information, their number is 501-623-2505, and their office is at 233 Hobson. Thank you so much.
Very good. Do we have any other announcements of upcoming events? Thank you. This time, we'll move on to our consent agenda. These are of a routine nature and do not merit individual discussion. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Director Garcia, seconded by Director Webb. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is adopted. We have one item under old business, and that is to consider resolution R-24-97. Ask City Attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-24-97, a resolution approving the application of Jason Bennett doing business as JJ's Charter Services for Charter Services Transportation Permit with certain conditions. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Webb, seconded by Director Trustee. Do we have a staff report? City Clerk Harmony Morrissey.
Thank you. Just to recap this one, on March 16th, Mr. Bennett, who owns JJ's Pedicabs, applied for a transportation permit to operate his 2000 Lincoln Town Car as a charter service. On March 26th, he was issued a citation by the Hot Springs Police Department for operating a limousine service without a permit and operating a limousine without proper uniform. After his plea and arraignment, the trial was set for June 6th. Meanwhile, April 15th, the Transportation Advisory Committee held a public hearing and ended up voting 4 in favor, 1 opposed, and 1 abstaining to recommend that the Board of Directors approve the application for his charter permit if he was found not guilty of violating the Hot Springs Transportation Code upon disposition of the criminal case, and that the permit would be limited to licensing a single vehicle, that vehicle would be subject to Hot Springs Code 13118B annual examination by the HSPD, and that the applicant would submit a sound business plan and would provide proof of insurance in an amount equal to or greater of either the state or local requirement. On May 7th, the Board of Directors voted to table consideration of this resolution until after his June 6th trial. However, the June 6th trial has been continued until August 1st of 2024. So tonight, the item comes before you again, and the board may either consider the recommendation made by the Transportation Committee and review the application considering the same standards and factors as the Transportation Committee did, and make the final decision as to whether the charter permit is granted, if there is to be any conditions or modifications, or if it is to be denied. Or the board may consider tabling the item again.
Very
Mr.
good.
Bennett is here with us this evening.
Mr. Bennett, feel free to address the board.
Good afternoon, everyone. I only have a few things to say. I've been committed to the downtown for a number of years, almost 10 years. Anyone that knows me should know what type of person I am and how hard I work to maintain the dignity of the downtown as well as myself. The decision of the board is all I can hope would be in my favor, but I'm here to still stand my ground. I'm innocent until proven guilty. I've done nothing wrong. It's false allegations, and I'm going to prove that. So with saying that, if any of you see me out there, how hard I work, you know that I'm an honest, hard-working individual. And I want this to go through so I can be a benefit to my friends, to different organizations who come here that don't want to Uber or, would like to charter me for groups of 6 or 8, my passenger count will be 8. And I just offer something that I feel is beneficial to the community. I've been doing the pedicabs for so long, it's just unbelievable. I didn't think I would be out there as long as I have, but I'm very grateful. I got 9 years before I plan on retiring. I'm going to be on the streets regardless. I hope you'll give me the opportunity to serve not only the people that ride the pedicab, but my future endeavors. And I'm grateful for you taking the time to be here, I'm grateful for the service you provide to the community, and my attorney is behind me 100%.
Any questions of Mr. Bennett? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Discussion among directors. Director Garcia?
Mayor, in recognition of the work that the Transportation Committee had done and their recommendations, I move that we table this item till after the August 1st date in the next
The court date
regular
is
board
what?
meeting.
What's the official court date? Director?
August 1st.
August 1st.
Be August 6th would be the first business meeting, which would require, wouldn't require anything. We wouldn't have to put it on the agenda. It would already be there. So August 6th would be the first business meeting available.
Second.
Got a motion to table till August 6th, seconded by Director Webb. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Director Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Items tabled to the meeting of August 6th, 2024. Now, we moved one item from the consent agenda to new business, and that item was R-24-123, and ask City Attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-24-123, a resolution approving change order number 2 to the contract with Christ Engineers, Inc. for construction management and inspection services, task order number 28 of the Master Services Agreement for the Lake Ouachita Water Supply Project. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Trustee, seconded by Director Garcia. Yes, Mr. Pillar will provide the staff report. Welcome.
Thank you and good evening. This change order is for engineering services, no construction. We're running, Diamond Construction is putting in a 24-inch finished water line along Mount Carmel Road, Highway 290 by the Red Oak Filling Station, Carpenter Dam Road, and tying into the bypass. We realized that we could tie on to our existing 12-inch distribution lines we have out there. So we're going to tie on at the Parker's, it goes to Far Shores, the Parker's hardware store.
True Value.
Huh?
True Value Store, right?
Yeah, True Value Store. And then we're going to tie on to Highway 290 by Red Oak Filling Station. We're going to tie on at Red Oak to feed Red Oak, and then we're going to tie on at the Carpenter Dam Bridge. So this change order is for engineering services, but also we need somebody to watch this construction. And the biggest part of it is that the pressure is so high that we have to, I have the easement already. I say we, staff has the easement already for the pressure reducing vault and flow meter that needs to go at the intersection of Highway 290 and Harmony Grove Road. Because Diamond Head that we feed down that way to Riviera Utilities, they're at elevation 307. The water plant's at 520. There's 100 PSI static pressure between the two. So we need to have protect our lines headed east on Highway 290. We have a pressure reducing vault. And after we thought about it, the water age will be less, THM potential will be less, and the chlorine residual will be better. Because when we get the new plant online, it's going to come from the new plant, not from Mountain Pine. Think about it, how many lines it is. Anyway, so the not to exceed value for this is $300,730, and it will come out of the water bond fund. The board approved 2023 water bond fund.
Very good. Any questions, Mr. Pillar? Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. Todd, I'm just trying to make sense of this resolution. I need your help to do that. So I've got a couple of points of discovery that I want to share with you, or facts that I noticed as I spent time reviewing this resolution. I do want to make clear before I get into the facts and statements and then the eventual questions that I have for you, that I'm not disputing this work. I think the work makes sense for our city. It's going to allow for better water travel. In this case, the questions that I have more or less pertain to the hourly wages that are happening with the different crew members that are part of this project. For example, and you know, I think it's important too to point out how crucial it is to value the service that workers do provide for our city. So I want to make sure that I'm clear that that's always in the back of my head. I want to value their work, and I think it's worth valuing. Anybody that does any service for the city of Hot Springs deserves to be paid fair value for the work that they provide to our city. But there's some differences between what's fair and then, in my opinion, what's excessive. Or in this case, in some cases, unrealistic and highly inflated. So I want to point out the different titles of what their hourly wage was for this task in 2020, and then what this change order does to their hourly wages. You take Engineer 5, for example. The hourly rate in 2020 was $148 per hour. This new change order would bring their hourly rate to $260 per hour. So that's an increase of $112, you know, and I get, you know, this is a private company. There's, you know, whether it's public or private company, there's always going to be COLA that's considered, you know, each year. There's salary schedules that are involved each year. But if we were to say a fair amount for, say, COLA and even salary schedule range increases, we could expect to see an hourly rate increase somewhere between, you know, 2 and 5%. At 5%, which would get it to 20, that's $30 increase an hour. That's at $178 per hour. But we're at $260 an hour for engineer number 5. Engineer number 3, 2020, they were at $104 an hour. This change order takes it to $185 an hour. Tech 2 office, $89 an hour. The change order takes it to $125 an hour. Field survey tech 2 in the field, $134 an hour to $175 an hour. We could even look at the construction observer number 1. In 2020, that position was being paid $60 an hour. Now in 2024, this same position is at $100 per hour. They're going to get 160 hours. So just on this task alone, that worker's going to pull $16,000 from this task. And, you know, I don't know, and you can help me in just a minute and explain what a construction observer number 1 does, but the optics of it for somebody like me outside of the engineering field makes it look like this is somebody who's driving around checking to make sure that person A, person B is where they're supposed to be, checking to make sure that person A, person B is doing what they're supposed to be doing, sitting in a truck, probably wearing a polo, some khaki pants, comfortable shoes, and they're making $100 per hour. I mean, even at 60, that's good money, but $100 per hour. So that's kind of the question I have, is how realistic are we with these hourly wage increases being so inflated as they are? We've got to remember, you know, at least for me, I look at any resolution and ordinance that comes before the board, and I've got to look at my constituents in their eye and stand by what I vote for. I want to be able to do that, but with the way that this change order is, I don't think I can do that. I mean, we're looking at, in some cases, over 50% and close to 100% hourly wage increase differences between 2020 and 2024. So I guess the question I have is, the first one is, can you share with me, can you help me make this make sense? Why are their hourly rates increased so much?
They have more employees. The rates doesn't matter. The bottom line is the board's going to approve a not-to-exceed amount of $300,730, period.
But they're still going to be making that hourly wage, and if we were able to negotiate for less wages, we could have a bottom line that's less than $300,000. I'm not seeing
I'm
why
not
we've
sure
got
about
to.
that.
Well, I mean, are they doing more in an hour in '24 than they would in 2020?
No, they have four inspectors out there right now. But the bottom line is it's a fixed fee.
But I think we could still negotiate better hourly wages, could we not? I mean, there's somebody that's helping us review any type of bond amendments that's taking place. You're reviewing it, city staff is reviewing it. I just don't know how you can justify giving someone $112 hourly, not weekly, not daily, not monthly, but $112 more an hour. I don't know how we do that.
Director Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm a certified public accountant and a certified internal auditor. And in my experience over the last 40 years, and being with a Fortune 100 company, I too had these questions when it came up within the company I was working for. However, I quickly learned, and in my auditing experience, I identified that the hourly rate was not the employee's hourly rate. It encompassed everything, the loading, the overhead, etc. And these rates are not what an individual employee that's performing those tasks are paid.
That would be correct. Mhm.
Right. And so when I looked at this, I understood that, but I understand how someone that didn't have my previous experience might not. But I didn't see anything out of line because these are change orders. This has to be done to get everything that we need for the Lake Ouachita Water Supply Project. And it is a change order, but it is necessary. And I have, in my experience, audited a number of the change orders of multi-million-dollar projects for the Fortune 100 company that I work for, and I don't see anything out of line here, but it's just how it's presented in the breakdown that this is the overall cost for the changes, and to do all these tie-ins that actually in the long run, it looks like it will save us money in the long run, and we will be able to meet some of the deficiencies that we currently have. And the sooner we can do that
Well, the biggest
with
thing
our
while we're doing the
plant, we
whole
can.
Lake Ouachita Supply Project is the water comes from Mountain Pine. And think where you're at,
Exactly.
Red Oak Station. How many miles is that? But now, we're gonna tie in all these places that we're coming from our new water plant. Once we get it online in 2025, so at the end of 25, it'll be, the water quality will be a whole lot better.
Yes, sir.
But I have to have engineering and construction management to put those in, to watch the contractor to make sure he does it right.
I agree.
Todd,
I support this,
Let me have
What
Bill,
brought
Bill can
before
provide
us.
some clarification.
So there's a few things here. One is we don't live in the same world we lived in 2020. COVID changed all of that. Everything we do is about 100% more than it used to be. When you look at this project, when we bid this out, it had a December 2024 date with a certain number of working days in that contract. Many, many things happened over the 4 years. It took us an additional year to get through the intake. It took us additional time to get permits from companies that we needed permits from to cross areas. Took additional time to get easements. So when we look at that, the estimated finish date was in December 31st, 2022 for 774 days. The change order is about those extension of days compared to the project. We still need engineers out there. We still need inspectors out there. We need people watching these projects as they go through. And Christ Engineers are the ones who are doing that. Another point is in the comparisons, Director Webb, that you're looking at. In those old numbers that you looked at, we had what was called an Engineer 8, I believe, which that Engineer 8 is the highest level of the company, which is today considered the Engineer 5 in the Christ company. So when you look at the old rates, you can't compare an Engineer 5 with an Engineer 5 today. Just as our pay tables, you can't compare the old pay table position to a 12 to a position 12 in the new pay tables. These also change, and if you look at that, you'll see the highest echelon was an Engineer 8 at $186 an hour in 2020. And yeah, it's $260 an hour today as an Engineer 5, but that's the same person. That's Matt Dunn. So just want to point out those three things. One is there's a difference in titles and that compensation dollar. Two, things are different in a post-COVID world. We see it in every single project we do. We see it at the grocery store.
Yes, sir.
And then finally, this was developed as a project that should have been completed a year ago, or in the end of 22. About a year and a half ago. It's running a couple of years behind, but a lot of that, you have seen this as it's gone through its whole inception and all of the things and challenges we've had to deal with as we've gone through that, whether that was, again, getting through the mountain, whether it was getting permits, whether it was waiting and being able to float and sink Lake Hamilton, bore under Big Mazarn. All of those things are rolled up into a change order for additional days. Most of this is that additional days. The actual valve that they're putting in is a very small portion of a $300,000 change order.
It's a valve, a pressure reducing valve and a flow meter.
Yeah, it's still the smallest part of the change order. It's $270,000 in additional work days.
Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate your feedback, Bill. I appreciate Director Garcia's feedback, and I will point out as point of information that in the title table of the positions that were a part of this original task in 2020, it did have an Engineer 5. There wasn't any Engineer 8 listed on that title list that was provided to the boards. I'm not seeing it.
Go to page 11.
You'll have to hit the link for the task 28.
I know we've got a Engineer 5 in 2020, and we've also got an Engineer 5 in 2024.
Page 11.
I mean, if that's the case, why was that information not purviewed to the board? And if even what Director Garcia was sharing, that there's some other financial, I guess, amendments to what goes into an hourly rate, why were those details left out of what's being presented to the board?
You'd have to
I
drill,
do
you'd have to
see-
drill down to it.
I mean, I do see Engineer 8 on this list from 2020, but it also listed as Engineer 5. And even if we were to take Engineer 8, I mean, their hourly rate in 2020 was 186. So if what you're saying, and I've got no reason not to believe you, but if we're saying that Engineer 8 in 2020 is now considered Engineer 5 in 2024, we're still looking at $260 an
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge increase from $186 per hour.
Yes, it is.
For the same work, and we're talking about a project that is behind.
Yes, it
And,
is.
you know, I very much support what we're trying to do here, but I think what I would want to see is this particular resolution receive no votes so that these wages can be reconsidered so that they're more cost feasible for our city. We ought to bring back more comparable rates, hourly rates, that are a little bit closer in line to 2020, with maybe factoring in a percentage increase to take into effect COLA and salary schedule increases. But, you know, when we're looking at increases of $112 per hour and so forth, that isn't cost feasible. And that, in my mind, isn't realistic at all. And I think we're in a position to where we can negotiate better rates and still receive quality service and continue on with this project. But I do, you know, I have to account for what I vote on here as I represent those that I serve in my district, in our city. And I don't feel good about this resolution as it stands with these hourly rates, and I'll be voting no. Thank you.
Director Dobbs-Smith.
And I would encourage all other directors to make that consideration too and vote no.
Director Dobbs-Smith.
So my question is, my understanding of what you're saying and between what Director Garcia said and what you were saying, when I see on here Patrick Bennett, he's going to be in the office and he gets $125 an hour. Patrick Bennett is also going to be in the field and it's $175 an hour. Patrick Bennett's not getting a paycheck for $1,400. That is including all of the support staff, the equipment. He's obviously, it costs more for him to be in the field. So not to diminish a surveyor technician, but when my yard man charges me $100, my yard team charges me $100 to cut my grass, he's not getting $200 an hour because it takes him 30 minutes. He's getting $100 for his machinery, his support staff, his gas, all of his expenses, and my yard service has just gone up by double since 2020 because the cost of living, the cost of supplies, the cost of labor has gone up. So is that what you're saying, that this man is not getting $1,400? He's getting, the company is getting that for the supplies that they're getting?
Gary?
That's the rates in their contract.
Okay.
But the bottom line is, the resolution, all I want is $300,730 not to exceed. It doesn't matter about the rates.
You don't care who they're paying, that's
I
the
don't
amount
care.
it's going to cost?
They're not going to get any more than $300,703.
Let me give a couple illustrations, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I used to manage a consulting firm, part of my career, and so as Ms. Garcia was saying, consultants only get paid on billable hours. That means that their employees who are working actually on a job that the client will pay for, they get paid. That's how they that's how the whole consulting business operates. And so there are some people in the business that aren't like secretaries and managers and so on that have to roll into overhead, plus the cost of the office building, the trucks, the gasoline, insurance. All those things have escalated over the last several years, as you know. For an example I'll give you is, so anyway, back when I was in the consulting business, we used to use a multiplier of 4. Whatever we're paying that hourly person times 4, that was our billable rate, because that 4 multiplier covered all those other costs. And I don't know what the multiplier is for Christa engineers today, but just using that as an example. Also, I get information from the University of Arkansas Civil Engineering Department that tells me that the new hires are making $75,000 a year. And they have jobs before they get out of school. I wish it was that way when I got out of school, but it wasn't. But it is today. So at $75,000 a year for a brand-new engineer right out of school, that equates to $144 an hour billable rate. And if a senior engineer, a more senior engineer, is making $135,000 a year salary, which is not uncommon, that equates to $260 an hour billable rate. So I just thought those couple of examples might help you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Any other questions from board members? Very good. Any more questions of Todd? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody sign up on that? Well, they couldn't. Anybody in the audience want to speak on this? It was part of the consent agenda, and then we moved it to new business. Discussion amongst directors. You know, what I will say is that when and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know that this is a little different because this is a change order, but if
Yes.
this was a brand-new project, we put out statement for qualifications. We don't base things off of price.
Right.
And then we negotiate from there, but we're looking for a statement of qualifications. And then secondly, you know, we're sitting here I mean, I know Director Webb said, well, maybe we can get better rates. Chris Engineers is putting forth people that on this project that they believe are necessary for this project to be successful. And those individuals have a certain rate. And as such, it's kind of challenging for me to sit here and say, well, no, you don't need that person, or we don't need this person. It's, you know, we contract with them to do a job, and they put forth the personnel to make sure that job is successful. So, you know, I'm fine with this, given that it is going to be a turnkey job with a not to exceed. And they do put those rates in, but that doesn't mean, I mean, those same people may work twice the amount of hours to get this job done. You know, this is a fixed price. Mr. Burrow?
One other thing I want to say to Director's Webb points to is, you know, when we went through this, we had our finance director, city engineers, utility director, myself, deputy city managers, 3 or 4 of Chris people in there, our city attorney. This didn't just hand it to us when we brought it to the board. We were in that room for quite some time talking about this particular project, this particular change order. And so don't think no negotiations went into this price, because there was quite a bit of time and somewhat some gnashing of teeth while we were in there. But this is the product that came out as the final recommendation to the board. I didn't want the public or anyone else to think that we aren't in there doing those very things and negotiating the best prices we can get for these jobs, because that would not paint the accurate picture.
Mayor, you're correct, and you know, as you've pointed out, this is a 2020 agreement. The master agreement is 2020. Prior to that time, there were statements of qualifications, not bids, that were received, and the city selected through the rated rank and the award by the board of the most qualified firm. Chris Engineers was most qualified firm. At that point, we negotiate price for the projects. This is change order to that original 2020. And so it's not as though we could go out and issue new bids for this little segment or add-on supplement to the original master agreement. It is true that the conversations can be had, and certainly were had, with Chris to make sure that this price got down to something that was reasonable, within budget, and fair to everyone concerned. And I will testify that Bill in those meetings fights hard. He fights hard. they don't leave there happy when they're through with him.
Thank you. Any other discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Beard.
No.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
No.
Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Resolution's adopted. This time we'll consider Resolution R-24-124 and ask City Attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-24-124, a resolution confirming the appointment of Carmen George to position 1 on the Hot Springs Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Dobbs Smith, seconded by
Second.
Director Trustee. The staff report will be provided by Ms. Harmony Morrissey, our city clerk.
Thank you. Position 1 on the Hot Springs Housing Authority Board of Commissioners expires on August 16th of 2025. This position became vacant when Mr. Roy Lee Murphy Jr. passed away on March 10th of 2024. Pursuant to Arkansas Code Annotated 14-169-208, when the term of office of a commissioner expires or other vacancy occurs on the commission of the authority, the commissioners shall appoint a successor to fill the vacancy for the unexpired term, subject to confirmation by the municipal governing body. If the commissioners fail to appoint a successor within 45 calendar days from the date of the commissioner's term of expiration or other vacancy occurs, the governing body shall appoint a successor. Following Mr. Murphy's passing, the Housing Authority Board of Commissioners reviewed 3 applications submitted by individuals interested in serving on the Housing Authority. They interviewed 2 of the applicants. The third did not show for the interview. At its May 20th, 2024 meeting, the Commissioners voted to appoint Ms. Carmen George to serve the remainder of Position 1 on the term. The Housing Authority Commission submitted Resolution Number 3262 appointing Ms. George to Position 1 to the City Clerk via email. The Commission respectfully requests that the City Board of Directors confirm this appointment. That concludes my report.
Any questions of Ms. Morrissey? Director Garcia?
Was this over the 45 days that is in the
Yes, ma'am.
law?
From the time, it is over 45 days between the time that Mr. Murphy passed and the resolution was passed.
And either you or the city attorney, in the last instance when this occurred, the city board of directors decided not to accept that and put it out for anyone interested, in the city board appointed the replacement. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. In this instance, the Housing Authority is requesting that the board waive that provision of the state code that allows you to do that.
So this is the second time this year, but it would be inconsistent if we treated this, I don't know the applicant and the nominee, but it would be inconsistent to treat this one different than the previous one, wouldn't it? So I would advocate and promote for us to be consistent and treat these the same, and for the city to advertise for this appointment and the city board to make this appointment.
Any other comments on this resolution? Director Trustee?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate your comments, Director Garcia. I think this situation is a little different than the one we had before. The one we had before, the term had expired. In this case, a sitting commissioner passed away. And I'm sure there was some shock or disbelief or, whatever emotions they were feeling. And they have recognized that this goes beyond the 45 days, but they're asking us to waive that. And personally, I don't have a problem in this situation due to the death of a sitting commissioner that we honor their request and their recommendation. Thank you, Mayor.
comments? Director Dobbs-Smith?
I can understand the, on the last situation where it was quite some time, it was 90 days, I think. In this case, because of a sudden death, because the board doesn't meet but once a month, I believe, they would have had to call a special meeting, plus they had to get the names out to get qualified applicants. I did read the 3 applications, and they all sounded good.
Okay.
So I think that they're asking for a special, what are they, like a week or so past the time, if that.
Maybe 2.
I do like to be consistent, but in this case, I don't think this was intentional. I think it was just a matter of getting their board members together and get the applicants in on time, and they did their due diligence and selected one of the 3. So I would be willing to waive that short time frame.
Just pause for a moment, please.
I was going to let you know the applicants in the room.
Okay. Any other questions of Ms. Harmony? I understand the applicant is in the room. Ms. Carmen George, would you like to come up and say a few words?
Hi, I've not done this before yet. I'm not really sure what to say. This is all very new. I was working with Habitat for Humanity, and they suggested that I go and send
Well,
my
tell us a
resume
little
in
bit
for this
about you,
board.
Carmen.
I'm sorry, what?
Tell us a little bit about you and
Okay.
your background experiences.
Okay, sure. I'm a mortgage lender with U.S. Bank right now. I also have a real estate license. I managed a brokerage in Heber Springs, Arkansas, as a realtor. And before that, I taught special education. I have a master's in education. As far as volunteer work and board positions, it's been quite a bit. I was a foster parent and worked for the call in Cleburne County. I was on that board. I held several positions. I did that for about 8 years. And just various organizations, I mean, mostly school, church, things like that. I was the association executive for the Cleburne County Board of Realtors. And I don't know.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Do you have any questions of Ms. George? Director Garcia?
You said you worked with Habitat for Humanity. What is your role with Habitat?
I just volunteered with the
You're a-
bank. I'm a
You're-
mortgage lender with U.S. Bank, and we just had a group that went out and volunteered.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any questions of Ms. George? Thank you. I don't know the circumstances of the passing of Mr. Murphy, and I don't know if it was a sudden passing or something that was, a health issue that was prolonged and with ultimately his passing. We have regulations that govern these entities, and they don't differentiate how the position becomes open, and so it's incumbent upon the administration and the board, the commissioners, to move quickly within that time frame. There's been a lot of issues regarding appropriate housing, the availability of housing for our low income citizens and those who qualify, and that has to be led by an entity that's basically in full force, ready to go. And even though there will be bumps in the road along the way, they have to continue to adhere to the regulations which govern them, which they are in charge of meeting. And I'm real concerned about, here again, another deadline being missed. Ms. Carmen George looks like a very fine applicant from what she presented. I'm sure that if we open this up to citizens within Hot Springs, she would be one who would apply. And very well may receive all of our support. But, you know, I would rather go through the normal process now of they had their time, their 45 days, that has passed, and then it should come back to the Board of Directors for filling of this position. Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. In my opinion, it's always fair to follow policy. Policy is black and white, without any bias. And, you know, I want to echo a lot of what other directors and the mayor was just saying. You know, these applicants all look qualified, all look like they would make great representatives on this committee for the Housing Authority. However, I think it's prudent upon us as directors is to follow policy. And if the policy is there's 45 days to fill that position, we should be holding that entity accountable for doing so. And I do agree with the mayor in that we ought to bring this back to the board to post for applicants and follow the same procedure with this position as we did with the previous position earlier in the year. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Director
Question.
Dobbs Smith?
What does this do to, you were saying that we needed to have a full board in effect to take care of the issues that the Housing Authority does. So if we say no to this applicant and the request to extend, how long will it be before reasonably the requests go out for applicants, and then we have to get it on an agenda, and then we have to vote on it?
Oh, there is
What
a
will that
period of
timeline-
time. I mean, I think the last time we allowed, was it 30 days?
We expedited it, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. There's 30 days.
But,
Advertising.
and that's, you know, that does take time, but that doesn't preclude us from requiring that the policies and the
Understood.
regulations be followed.
Understood.
So we could put the notice out how soon? Tomorrow?
Close tomorrow.
City offices are closed tomorrow. but
Tomorrow,
we could-
okay.
We could get
By
that
the end of
out.
the week,
Yes, sir.
and then 30 days in that. They've been functioning now since at least March 24th and March 10th of 2024, and probably longer than that, depending on Mr. Murphy's ability to attend the meetings.
We just follow the same template that the board laid out last year.
Let me ask you, we had a motion and a second on this resolution. What's the process? I don't want to get ahead of myself, but what's the process for pulling that down?
So the motion on the floor is for the appointment, the confirmation of the appointment. So if the board wishes to go forward with its own applicants and process, then you would need to vote this one down.
Okay. Any other comments or questions regarding this resolution? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Dobbs Smith.
No.
Webb.
No.
Garcia.
No.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
No.
Beard.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
No. The resolution fails. And then do we need any formal statement or action for city clerk to move forward?
I believe you placed that on the record pretty well.
Yeah.
We'll just follow the same template that we did last year.
Okay, thank
Earlier
you.
this year. Earlier this year.
I thought it was 23. Was that 23? Okay.
Okay. Now we'll begin, we have a couple ordinances to close the meeting out. Oh, no, wait, excuse me. We have resolution R-24-125. This was the walk-on ordinance, and I asked city attorney to read by title.
Pull it out. Resolution R-24-125, a resolution authorizing out-of-state travel to the National League of Cities City Summit in November 2024, as required by Hot Springs Code, Section 2-1-5, and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt?
So moved.
Director Trustee, seconded by
Second.
Director Garcia. And who's going to provide the staff report?
Mayor, we have, I can jump in there. We've got 3 board members that are interested in traveling to National League of Cities this year. Director Steve Trusty, Director Karen Garcia, and Director Phyllis Beard. The 2024 City Summit will be in Tampa Bay, Florida from November 13th through the 16th. There is some pre-conference, November 11th and 12th. I don't know how many, if anyone plans to attend those, but the actual conference is November 13th through the 16th, and we have 3 that have expressed interest in attending.
Okay. Any discussion on this item? You know, one of the, Director Holliday?
Yeah, I wish we had a little more to look at on this, especially with specific dates, but even last year, we had some things come up pretty quickly, and we've wanted to have a conversation about travel, and I want us to discuss, but I do plan on later in this item amending that 2 people get to go, not 3. So I don't know what you were about to say, but I do think we need to be a little more mindful of how much travel, because I believe that 2 people can go, get a good experience, and come back and educate the rest of us. And our policy does suggest rotating, or it does say that we should rotate. And I think we need to keep that in mind. So, thank you.
Any other comments from board members? Director Trustee?
Thank you, Mayor. My attendance at the conference in November would be subject to my being reelected to this position. I'm up for reelection this year along with 2 other directors. And of course, if I was not to be reelected in November at the general election, I would not feel comfortable attending the conference. Thank you.
Is it refundable?
Some of the.
By a certain date, but probably not at that late in the,
Well, it'd just be my.
but I'd have to look at it.
Yeah.
Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. Director Holliday was mentioning policy on these kind of traveling provisions. Do we have that for us to kind of read now?
It's in your code.
Yeah, can you, do we have that code title?
Pulling it up.
It'd be in
Okay.
chapter
Thank you.
2.
Two 1-5 is the travel policy. If you navigate to the code through the intranet, if you click on the intranet, go to code, or here, let me. Yeah, I can put it on your screen.
So 2-1-5, paragraph 1 states, with the exception of out-of-state travel that is required for imminent city business under circumstances in which time is of the essence as determined by the city manager, out-of-state travel shall be as approved by the board of directors on a case-by-case basis. All out-of-state travel shall be subject to available funding in the board of directors' travel budget line items. Whenever possible, the attendance at out-of-state events on behalf of the City of Hot Springs should be rotated among the individual members of the Board of Directors.
Director Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor. The reason that it's coming before us now versus later is to get the lower rates for registration, early bird rates, and hotel rates, because the block of rooms that they present for this are for a certain period of time, and the only reason is to try to get the less expense for this attendance. And other than you, and I'm the most senior member, and I'm probably the oldest, I think I am the oldest member here. Okay, I'm an old lady, and I had put my name in because of what I have learned at these conferences and the connections. I believe it is important to maintain education and training and to have the connections that we make from the land bank processes to affordable housing to the gamut that we have on education. So I don't think that it's ever wrong to continue training and for the upcoming changes that goes on all the time in regulations, that we keep abreast of those. So I think all of us, and I know most everybody attended the AML last week, and I am in favor of all education and training. And the only reason it's coming now is to try to keep the cost lower.
Director Beard.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to add a few things. When you do go to these conferences, as City Manager Burrows said, it pays great dividends. You know, I was able to go to Washington and get the HUD guy in here because I was not getting my phone calls returned. I also encourage the entire board to attend these conferences, as the NLC is celebrating its centennial this year. And if you've been able to attend any of the past, the information, it's information overload, where it is too much information for one person to bring back. You know, I particularly, I'm looking for housing solutions, but I know Director Webb had some kind of drug assistance, or, you know, I can't think, yeah, drug prevention. So all of this stuff that we advocate for in our districts is right there, like at a smorgasbord. You know, that's not like the drug prevention isn't something, it is important to me and my district, but if he goes and, you know, gets that information and brings it back to me, then that could help. And then there's something here that you would be interested in that I'm just not able to get. So I know that I have, and I knew this was going to come up, that I may have single-handedly exhausted the travel budget. And I don't regret that, because I've brought a lot of stuff back for the entire city, but I've already paid for my registration. I got the first early bird in case the city does not, says that I can't go. I just paid for it out of pocket. There were early birds right after we got back from Washington. There was a second early bird, and I think the third early bird we probably just missed. But, you know, these type of things we need to look at when we come back from Tampa. It's start to look for Congressional City Summit, because the earlier you sign up, the less expensive it will be. So if it's going to be a problem, because I don't want to be, you know, accused of spending all the money, I've paid for myself, and yeah, that's what I did.
Speaking of budget, Mayor, and I apologize, as you know, this was walked on, so you don't have the resolution in front of you. I will point out that it says that in accordance with Hot Springs Code, Section 2-1-5, the Board of Directors hereby approves the out-of-state travel contingent upon availability of funds for the following board members to travel to and attend National League of Cities City Summit, Tampa Bay, Florida, November 13th through the 16th of 2024. Do we need a budget adjustment? Do we have a COA?
Funds are available.
We've got a surplus.
And I have one more thing.
Go ahead.
This is along the same line. Next week, I am the Regional 12 Director, which includes Arkansas and Tennessee. So I will be at the National Black Caucus of Local Elected Officials Conference in Chicago. I did pay for this myself because it's very important that I meet with other people with the similar problems that I can bring back and help not only my district, but the entire city. So I will not be here at next week's agenda meeting. The NLC, this is a constituency group of National League of Cities, and this conference will take place in Chicago.
Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. I will, somewhat echo what Director Beard was just sharing with the board and everybody in that, and I think Director Garcia too. Anytime we can send somebody for training that has the potential to bring back helpful components for ourselves, for other directors, for our districts, for our community, for our city, for our county, in some cases for our state, it's well worth it in my opinion. If funds are available for us to do so, I think we ought to look at any and all opportunities to make that happen. And I was very pleased with the Arkansas Municipal League Conference of last summer to bring back, close to $300,000 for a prevention recovery program for the Hot Springs School District. That kind of opportunity, that connection, those settlement fund opportunities that are available through Arkansas Opioid Recovery Partnership, I don't think ever would have existed in my purview without that opportunity to be at the training. And, so that's the city of Hot Springs allowing, and the citizens of Hot Springs allowing us directors to take on those kind of opportunities to help better ourselves at what we do in serving those that we represent. So in this case, the trip to Tampa Bay, I've looked over at least what the short version of 2-1-5 is for board and travel policy. I'm not seeing anything pertaining to a number of directors, and to include the mayor, that can travel there. So whether it's 2 or 3, I'm not seeing anything that would prohibit 3 going versus 2. And if we have 3 available directors who feel like this is a great opportunity to bring back some knowledgeable and probably difference-making advancements for their service to the community, I would support that. And as far as rotating it, I want to be considered for the next time around, but I've got no problem stepping back from the potential of it being my rotation to go to Tampa to allow these 3 who have already committed to going. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? I think we'll go ahead, Director Holliday.
I keep catching you, one syllable in. No, I don't want anyone to confuse my hesitancy to send everybody who wants to go with any implication that I don't think that education is important. We're all elected from the public. Nobody here went to school to do this job. This is how we go to school. And yeah, I think AML is invaluable. If every single one of us could go to every AML, absolutely, because they distill a lot of this information down for the state. But I do think when it comes to these particular things, and also knowing that, there may be someone from the board and definitely staff looking at participating in our Sister City program again this year, we need to look at this holistically for the year. And this is the second time this year it's landed the day of the meeting. And so, regardless of what happens today, I think we need to have a larger conversation about what the intent is as a group, what the availability is as the group. And then also, with Director Beard being on this caucus, I think that's an amazing opportunity. I also don't think you should have to pay for it out of pocket. But I think it's something that we as a board and as a city need to be very mindful of, and not have them land like this. So
I agree with you, Director Holliday. I think this is from a budgetary standpoint for 2025. We really need to map out a calendar, if you will, of these education opportunities. Education's great, but we also have 600 plus employees who need education as well. And while somebody can always say, well, we budgeted for it, yeah, at what price? at what point does it become excessive? You know, we want to be good stewards of our money, and I do believe we are. But it'd be nice to, as Director Holliday pointed out, it'd be nice to not have this be walked on the day of the meeting, that we have, so to speak, a roadmap throughout the calendar year of events. You know, AML is an in-state activity. These others are out-of-state. Yeah, we drive 1 hour to get to this meeting. And then, yeah, we have a couple nights in a hotel. Just about all of our food's taken care of. And very different than out-of-state travel.
We can do that.
Yeah. Director Garcia?
I just wanted to comment, these are all good discussion. Back in 2011, this is the out-of-travel portion of this code is what I introduced and was passed during that time, so that we would maintain transparency on all out-of-state travel, because previously it was not. And there was a lot of dissension among some of our constituents. So I think this is all healthy discussion. So I think it's all good. Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion?
I don't think I have the support for it, but I would like to officially amend the item to include 2 individuals. I do not want to be the one to name them. I know the official vote will have to have our names, but I would like to amend the item to have 2 spaces available, not 3.
We have a motion to amend to have 2 people travel to the National League of City in Tampa Bay, Florida. Is there a second? Is there a second? Third time? Dies for lack of a second. Back to the original motion in a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Webb.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Resolution is adopted.
Yes, those 3.
Do we have to read their names? In the motion?
Well, the resolution, again, you didn't have copies, I'm sorry. The resolution provides for Phyllis Beard, Karen Garcia, Steve Trusty.
Very good. Very good. We have 2 ordinances to close out the meeting. The first is ordinance 024-17. Now entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title.
So moved.
Director
Second.
Trustee, second by Director Garcia. We have a motion and second to suspend the rules and read by title. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Please read by title.
Ordinance O-24-17, an ordinance approving the procurement of a Ford Maverick for Hot Springs Police Department pursuant to Arkansas Code annotated section 14-47-138, approving a budget adjustment and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Dobbs Smith, seconded by Director Garcia. Mr. Ron Seawright, Public Works Director, will provide the staff report.
Good evening. This is to purchase a Ford Maverick for our parking enforcement program. The equipment's already been purchased that will be mounted in the vehicle. The Ford Mavericks were on a state contract. However, none of the participating dealerships have any more of those. Staff was able to locate one at Mark McClarty Ford at a price of $30,678 and is asking the board to approve this purchase along with a budget adjustment.
Any
Mayor,
questions?
I wanted to add that this is I had this question earlier. This is for a small compact size pickup truck. The reason it's a pickup is the amount of equipment that also has to not only be mounted, but will occasionally need to be loaded and carried, as this position also will be doing the maintenance and all of the other work that we'll have on the kiosk or anything else that we may have out there. So had that question today, so I wanted to bring that up so everyone would hear.
Very good. Any questions of Ron? Director Trustee?
Thank you, Mayor. Ron, what was the price on the state contract? Do you know what that was for a similarly equipped
Not right offhand, sir. Do you know? I think it was around 26, yeah.
26? And so it's important to go ahead and get this truck and not wait on one from the state contract? Because they're not going to have any more 24s? Is that what you said?
State contract comes back in October.
Okay.
Usually every year, and then our budget comes around in January. A lot of those vehicles on state contract get bought out or they run out of them
Right.
prior to that time.
So it would be a 25 that would probably be even more expensive than what
Yes, sir.
this one is. Thank you.
Director Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sorry, I may have missed it, but what was the delivery date when this is approved?
Go
This
pick
is
it
in
up.
stock. we
So
can
it
pick up
will
once it's-
immediately be available?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Director
Thank
Garcia, you can go pick it up.
Oh, I don't need to do that. I trust them.
No lights yet, though.
But we've got lighted stop signs on Twin Points.
Come on.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any further questions of Ron? Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Anybody sign up to speak?
No, sir.
Discussion amongst directors? Please call the roll.
Director Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. Our final action item of the evening is to consider ordinance O-24-118. I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title.
So moved.
Director Holliday, seconded by
Second.
Director Trustee. Have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read by title. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Please read by title.
Ordinance O-24-18, an ordinance granting an exclusive franchise for the operation of a food service cart to George Vargas, doing business as a Lotte Hub. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Trustee, seconded by Director Garcia. And do we have a staff report? I guess it is.
Yes, Mayor, I'll try to kick this off. Requests for proposals were issued for street food cart service operation at certain locations in and around downtown Hot Springs. The RFP was published and posted on RBids. We received only one proposal, which was a response that was submitted by George Vargas, doing business as a Lotte Hub. His proposal was evaluated by staff. Notice of intent to award was published. No protests have been filed. After that, I sat down with Mr. Vargas and we worked out a draft of a franchise agreement to bring to the board for your consideration. The agreement is attached within your packet. It is a term of 1 year with 4 additional 12-month renewals. The minimum fee for this would be $100 per month, plus 5% of gross revenues that are collected from the sales at their carts. Those payments will be made on a quarterly basis. Their records would be open to audit by the city if there is a discrepancy of more than 2% in what is remitted based on the audit, and the cost of that audit, and obviously any additional fees that are required would be borne by the franchisee. There are 2 franchise sites that are identified within this contract. One is at Hill Wheatley Plaza, and you see that as exhibit to the agreement itself. That is Exhibit B, and Exhibit C is the second location, which is the 900 block of Central, on the west side of Central on the sidewalk. The activities must take place in those locations. It's not a mobile vendor, even though it is a cart. You'll see a photo of the cart in Exhibit A1 and A2. It's approximately 4 by 4. They need space of about 4.8 to actually operate their activities there. It's a self-contained item. You'll hear more, I'm sure, from Mr. Vargas about this. They are responsible for any and all supplies, utilities. We provide nothing other than the 4x8 area in which they are to operate. The carts cannot remain there unattended, cannot remain there unless they are during their normal operating hours. The hours of operation are lengthy, although may not be utilized in full. They expressed a desire to try to have some flexibility there to be able to take advantage of late time. The Hill Wheatley Plaza, which is Exhibit B, would be 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. And then the other location, 900 block of Central, Exhibit C, is 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. There is obviously the ability to terminate this agreement, cancel the agreement. First of all, each annual anniversary, the city or the franchisee has the ability to decide not to renew, and so that's a 30-day notice. In addition to that, there's one for convenience, which is a 90-day notice. There's also the ability to terminate for cause if there's any violation or breach of the franchise agreement, and then finally by mutual assent. The insurance requirements were published. They more than exceed those. Everything with respect to what was asked for was presented, and so this matter is now before you for your consideration as to whether or not you even want such an operation. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Very good. Any questions of Mr. Albright from the board? Director Trustee?
Thank you, Mayor. Brian, is this one cart or two carts at two different locations?
It is one cart per location.
Per location.
Again,
Okay.
I'll let them speak to that, but whether or not they would be operating both carts at the same time, I don't know.
Right.
But I do know that they own two carts.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Vargas, please tell us a little bit about your project and how you came up with it and what you hope to achieve.
Well, it's
You
definitely a fun project. We own 3 carts total because one could break, and we always have to make sure we have the other one. They probably will not operate at exact same times as each other, so there will be 2 carts, but probably fluctuating different schedules, heat, rain, all that's going to take into factor. My biggest factor was trying to keep Hot Springs as clean as I can. So these are special built to be compact and not produce much waste, and everything, one person can technically load it onto a truck by themselves. So by the time that we're done, we load it up, it goes away, we clean it at the shop, and it's like it was never there. We don't need any waste. We don't need any trash buckets. We don't need pretty much anything, to be honest. We just got to make sure that whoever's eating the elotes cleans up after themselves if they can. But either way, I'm going to have my guys making sure that they walk around and make sure, napkins and all this stuff is picked up. But I try to make a business that's going to work for the city, as in keeping it clean, and can also make us both money. So that was, before I put it on here, that was my.
Are these kind of inspected, or do you have an annual survey by the state health department, or how does that work?
I got this. Actually, these carts don't really qualify for something like that. The biggest thing that came from the city that was of concern was the corn is actually kept warm and cooked in water and butter. And so we had to have an agreement when we got all of our signatures to proceed with this from sewage, the office right down there, and saying that we would properly dispose of this. So one of the good things is that George owns multiple businesses, and one of his businesses is a restaurant. So we're able to dispose of any kind of waste like the water and oil, water grease actually, not oil, in that particular location. So we That's really the only thing that requires anything special about it. But we do invite you all to come and like check it out yourselves.
I would love it.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anybody on the board that owns a restaurant or something, but there is a pre-treatment requirement, and so they have to use their grease trap at the business is what you'll utilize.
Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. Which one of y'all is Seth? So you're Seth and you're George right there. I appreciate y'all taking the time to visit with me on the phone earlier last week and kind of respond to just some inquiry that I had because when this idea was first presented to us at the agenda meeting last week, I questioned it due to thinking who's going to get a stalk of corn to eat on the street. You know, I'm thinking corn, just regular corn, like who wants a thing of regular corn as they're walking down the street? But I appreciate your ability to describe to me that this is Mexican corn. And so there's seasoning involved, there's butter, there's cheese, there's all kinds of toppings that you can get. And that's probably where you're talking about having napkins and paper products used. I appreciate you're taking care of the health side of things. It sounds like you've got that worked out good as the mayor was giving you questions that are related to Department of Health and bless you, and proper cleanliness so that when a consumer does purchase this product from you, that it is going to be clean and we don't have to worry about people getting sick. Appreciate hearing that your employees will look after any type of cleanup when the night is over and you pack everything up to keep that area clean. And this is what I love the most. I love that you're both local. You know, you both live in Hot Springs. You both have businesses here in Hot Springs. It's my understanding that you've got some businesses that are down Albert Pike, Mexican restaurant, and then, Honduras restaurant, and then supermarket as well in that same shopping plaza. Your children go to schools here in Garland County. So I love that you're local. I love that you're local business owners. I love that you work so well with the city. And I question too, like, how are you going to make a profit? It looks like, or is it true that you're selling each one of these corns at $6? So if you've got, if I asked about how many you sell at your restaurant, and you're thinking at minimum 30 per day. Does that sound right?
Oh, that's on the extreme low end.
Yeah.
The extreme low end, 30?
A very extreme low end. The potential is there. I mean, numbers are always going to be fluid since we're just starting out. But the potential for selling upwards in a single day at both carts, you're looking at probably 10 times that. There's a potential for it.
How many corns could one cart hold? And do you have somebody constantly bringing more to you if you run out? How does that process work?
Logistically, that's how the process works.
Okay.
I mean, each one of the particular carts can hold roughly 30 to 36.
Yeah, just say about 36.
About 36 in each bus bucket. Well, right now, our logistics are at a point where we're looking at having one individual be available to bring more product when necessary, to help relieve a person when necessary if they have to go to the restroom, those types of things. Be kind of like a floater back and forth if necessary. Yeah. So, we got it worked out. There will be a couple of bumps in the road because you always have to do that when you're first trying stuff.
Right.
I project that it's going to be pretty smooth.
Yeah, we have two company trucks. So 2 company trucks that are dedicated just for that. So if one person needs to run and go grab more and bring it back, that's not going to be a problem. We're not going to run out.
Well, and that kind of answered that question that I had on that. And, at $6 a corn, it looks like, 19 or 20, you've got enough to pay for your fees. Do those fees, and this may be a question for the city attorney, but those fees at $100 per month, and that doesn't take into consideration the 5% on revenue, but at $100 a month, is that $100 for each location or $100 for both locations?
$100 per month.
For both locations of the?
Yes. One $100 fee per month as the minimum plus 5% of their operations.
Okay, and that's going to include the 2 locations?
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, I wish you guys the best, and I appreciate you being local. I appreciate you having businesses here in the city. Thank you.
George, what are your refreshments? Do you have drinks or something that are available for purchase, or?
No, we're just gonna keep it, just, there's other establishments that also I don't want to take business away from them. So we're just gonna focus on just the corn itself, as simple as it can be.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, in the agreement, we're not allowed to do anything like hats or shirts
yeah.
and drinks were specifically mentioned as well.
Okay, Director Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor. I support all of our small businesses and your entrepreneurial spirit. As you become more successful, do you anticipate adding any other food items in the future?
At this moment, I would say no. The closest thing I could think of is doing corn in a cup, which would be pretty much the same thing, except that somebody would have to cut the corn, put it in a cup. That'd probably be as close as I can get. I don't plan on doing anything like hot dogs or burgers or anything like that. Just something simple, easy to clean up, easy to work. They only have to know one thing, and it's the corn. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Director
you.
Webb, when you were talking earlier and talking about all the seasoning and all that, I thought you were kind of getting close to having your own version of Hot Spring Shark Tank. And I expected these guys to roll this card out and then
There you
allow
go.
each of us to have a sample while we're deliberating.
What's coming up?
I'm actually teasing with but no, we appreciate your. Do you have any other questions of substance here? Director Trustee.
Thank you, Mayor. This, I understand the Hill Wheatley Plaza location. What about the 900 block of Central? Where do you anticipate setting up? Where is the city-owned property
Yeah,
there?
so, well, it's the sidewalk.
The sidewalk.
The city right-of-way.
Okay.
And so you might notice, you'd have to blow it up to see it, but there are actually coordinates there, latitude, longitude. It is a dot on the sidewalk.
Okay, I didn't go that far as to plot that out as to where it is. Okay.
I do want to point out, you mentioned Hill Wheatley Plaza. I should have mentioned this earlier. This franchise agreement will be subordinate to any activities that are sponsored by the city or
Right.
Visit Hot Springs that take place either in Hill Wheatley Plaza, which occurs from time to time, or if there is some parade or such that is going to be using the 900 block of Central. That does not mean that the franchisees cannot apply for and be a part of whatever special event or venue might be taking place there, but their ability to be there under the franchise agreement is subordinate to the rights of any special events that are taking place there at any particular time.
George, is this a hot item or warm item, and what's the power source in your cart to keep it at a certain temp?
It's okay. So we have them pre-cooked, and then we put them in. I guess you would have to see it by for yourself, but it's a very low flame mechanism on there that requires almost no power. I don't even need anything else besides I'm gonna put a little battery pack on each one, so that way they have lights at night if they need to, or stuff like that. But it's very, very low maintenance, and it's
Yeah.
when I say low flame, like we're not sitting there boiling them right there, because it will not, it won't work.
All right. Very good. Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. I think what maybe the mayor's trying to ask is, are you keeping it warm with like propane? Have you got a propane tank with the flame, or?
There's a propane tank
okay.
that is built into the cart.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but it's in the cart and it's contained.
Very good. If there are no further questions, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody sign up from the audience?
No, sir.
No? Any discussion amongst directors? Please call the roll.
Director Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday. Aye. Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Garcia. Aye. Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. This concludes the action items for this evening. Now we're under Board of Directors items for discussion. Any board member have items for discussion? Hearing none? This is weird. We never have had this. I don't know how it leapfrog right into, Director Garcia, you have an item for discussion?
I just wanted to thank the city staff for the work they've done to improve safety on Twin Points and Modern. There was a new stop signs installed today that are flashing stop signs that is already slowing down the speeding traffic, and it is providing more safety at that intersection of Twin Points, Modern, and Forest Lakes Boulevard. And the residents in that area are very thankful, and I wanted to pass that along publicly to everyone that was involved in making that happen. So thank you very much.
Anything else, Director Garcia?
If there are no further comments or discussion, I move to adjourn.
We have a second. Director Webb, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. We do have a public commentary session here immediately following, so allow us to change over our electronics, and we'll be ready